Annette Clayton was, well, Annette Hitchcock as a name, is one of the most gentlest, smartest, beautiful people I've ever met. My life changed dramatically when we married in '72, and at the time of her passing, we had been married for 44 years.
Motor Neurone Disease is, or MND for short, is a neurological disorder. So it's also referred to as ALS in the medical field. In overseas, it's also called Lou Gehrig's disease. Effectively, it affects the brain, obviously, which affects the communication between the spinal cord, and the nerves that go down to the rest of the body. So it's sort of, basically communication lines are cut.
The diagnosis was made in November 2011, but I had been going to the gym for some time before, and I could notice my performance at the gym was not as good.
We were at the hospital that day on the 6th of July, and at 12 o'clock that day, after some more testing, they told us that she had MND, and she may have 2 to 3 years if she was lucky.
No, my main concern was my husband, and from there we actually took the trouble to visit each of our children to tell them individually to allow them to be able to absorb the impact of this. My daughter dissolved into tears, so did my daughter-in-law. I think that in that situation, the person who's diagnosed becomes the strong one, because suddenly everybody else falls apart. And so you're left there consoling them. So the roles are actually reversed, and you need to be prepared for that.
Nettie used to fight the stages. She was happy for, she knew what she had and she knew how to deal with it as best we could. She set a lot of goals on what she wanted to do and where she wanted to be. The three that she really set was that she was not going to pass until she got the 44 years marriage, which we did. She wasn't going to pass at Christmas time because it'd affect the family year after year. She wasn't going to pass in New Year, similar, and she wasn't going to pass when the children went back to school. She knew in herself that she said to me very early, when I can't, and it might sound strange, wipe my behind, I'm not going to be here.
Having MND almost makes you a celebrity in reverse. And it's quite daunting because you suddenly become the focus of a lot of people's attention. So you suddenly realise, both from your grandchildren point of view, from your husband point of view, from your friends' point of view, you either decide you're a person of courage and dignity, or you're going to be a blithering, emotional mess. And I think that most of us, when faced with that option, are going to take the first. In particular with the grandchildren, I find I'm very conscious because I'm setting an example to them as to how to deal with adversity. So they're growing up into young people now, and they have to deal with their adversities in life. So I want them to remember me, that there was someone who could give it the best shot and not give up, and still have a spirit of adventure in life.
I remember a professor from the hospital come here one day with the doctor, and Nettie and I had been doing a trial, and it just got a little bit too much for Nettie to go back in the hospital to finish the trial and the tests. And she come here, and Nettie said to her, you know, is there anything like stem cells that we can do? And the professor said, we can make as many stem cells as you need, but we don't know where to put them.
Ideally, it would be brilliant to cure MND. It's such a debilitating disease and so cruel. The idea of finding a cure for it would be brilliant. There's so many different variations of it. So what people don't realise is there's constant research going on. There's grants that Motor Neurone Disease of Australia and Queensland contribute towards to our scientists that actually examine exactly the causes. There's some hereditary things that they think that might actually be the case, some environmental factors as well. So they're all being researched still.
When we visited the neurologist, I was really not very keen on taking drugs, and there's one particular drug for motor neurone, and he prevailed on me to take it for research purposes. So it was quite expensive. So we took out the prescription, and the night I took that drug was quite a frightening experience, because literally it felt like electric shocks running through my system. Now, having been newly diagnosed, I couldn't tell the difference whether this was the disease or the drug. And when I brought it up with the neurologist and said, look, this is the sort of reaction I'm having, really, they weren't that interested. Really? Which I found was quite an affront, because I was doing it for research purposes, and I expected him to at least write down and say, look, these are the symptoms that this person has had. My message to the medical profession is it's very important to be absolutely honest and to say, look, these are the reactions that some patients have experienced. Yeah. So if you know that that is a possibility, then that gives you the ability to cope. Yeah. But in that sort of situation, you're psychologically vulnerable. It is really putting you in, it's a betrayal of trust as far as I'm concerned.
We've got an amazing network of people, so we have things that we can help you if we need someone to sit with you and have a cuppa, or someone to sit with your partner and have a cuppa, or there's someone that can possibly help you. So please let us know. We also have intentions to have information sessions, so we can actually educate medical profession, not so much educate, but more like awareness that organisations like ours exist, that they can refer people to us, so that we can possibly give them some information or point them in the right direction, so to speak.
Nettie always reckoned we were lucky, because she said she was not in a lot of pain, you know, not aching or anything else or whatever, because it was MND affected her slowly, moving from the left leg and things like that.
Well, personally, I found its endurance with pain, the cramps, your body really doing things that are very difficult, lack of sleep. I mean, the initial cramps were so bad that I would actually equate them on the level of childbirth. Wow. It was excruciating. I mean, to the point, you know, that there'd be tears running down my face just from the sheer agony.
As Katerina explained before, patients that are clients that have got people that have got motor neurone disease can experience a range of symptoms, and they vary person to person in the severity as well.
I've had some choking episodes, which I really thought I was going to die from. But the speech therapist was very good in being able to help me to go through a process of exactly to recognise what it is and to not allow that spasm to occur.
We provide support to our patients, our clients, as we refer to them as, their families and their carers. So a lot of people have the need for a carer, so we kind of act as a as a middleman in relation to we have a certain amount of equipment that we can to hire out to our clients that can make their job a little bit, or their life a little bit easier, or the carers' jobs a little bit easier. We also have allied services that we work with, so in the forms of OTs, so occupational therapists, physiotherapists, speech therapists.
She taught me what life was really about in 3 years, 8 months. She taught me what was important, how to approach things, how little things that some people believe their world is falling apart is simply like a pinprick. It's nothing, but people blow things up out of all proportion. They lose sight. So that's what she taught me, well and truly. And I mean, I'm a peaceful, way more peaceful person now than what I was in my younger years, you know. And I mean, we all have hassles and we all have troubles, and I simply sit in that chair over there and I look up at the photos and I say, hey Nettie, I think, what do you reckon about this, or what do you reckon about that? And she's still here in the house, there's no two ways, because we're more than just skin and bones. It's what's after that, it's spirit, soul, whatever you like to call it, but it's still within the house, and she's still here, and she'll always will be.
The one thing that you appreciate is people, and you enjoy people, and and also to share their joys and to share their suffering, and being a part of each other's life. To me is very important, because none of us, we're not an island on our own. We affect each other enormously. The bottom line in life is we all seek meaning in life. And meaning in life is not about how much stuff you get. It's about how many connections you make and how many souls you touch.
Oh yeah, she used the sense of humour all right. She used to catch me with the walking stick after I thought I'd said something, smart, and then moved away. But the walking stick always caught up with me. I was more the centre of the banter, I believe, that went around. There was plenty of fools. I'll tell you how good she was in the sense of wanting to have a laugh. Because she had to teach me how to do internet banking, shopping, even actually tell me where the money was, because everything was in her name, because that's what she did. Her job was looking after the family, looking after the house, looking after the finances. But she was teaching me how to clean, and because Nettie always had a very clean house. I don't clean as well as she did. But during the training phase, I cleaned everything, because Nettie said, you need to clean this, you need to clean that. About 3 months before she passed, I said, I'm really proud of you. I said, I don't know how you looked after the house and the finances and cooking and all the cleaning. And she said to me, I'll let you in for a little secret. I said, what? She said, I never cleaned anywhere near as much as you've done. And I said, well, why did you tell me to do it all? She said, well, I cleaned for you for nearly 40 years, and I thought I might get some of my own back by you spending more time cleaning. But she was unbelievable. She was an honour. It was an honour to look after her, because she was just so easygoing. She never blamed anybody. She just lived, and lived to the best that she could.
I hate the word fighting, because when you're fighting, you're aggressive. What you want to do, it's like you're not fighting the surf, you're riding the surf. And I think you've got to find your sweet spot. Yes, the disease is something that you are having to deal with, but it's like you keep tricking it. You go and you have your alternative strategies. But once you get into that aggressive frame of mind, I don't think it's a healthy thing, because you're then fighting against your own body. I think that you have to sort of accept and say, look, we've been given a body that's we expect should be perfect. And if there's a slight imperfection, I think we just have to work around it, you know. But don't try. I hate it when people say they're fighting cancer, they're fighting this. No, they're actually, you're wanting your body to be strong. That's what you're concentrating on. You're not concentrating on that disease.
Yeah.
But if all you're thinking about is the disease, it's going to get you much more quickly.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So you're just riding the wave.
You ride the wave the best way you can and make sure and you hope it's not a dumper. I just want to be still a really good wife, a caring grandmother and a caring mother. So when my daughter's got problems, she can pick up her phone at any time of day and night and talk to me. And we don't talk about the disease. The less we talk about the disease, the better. The best advice I could give is not to look into the future. Enjoy what you have now and seize the moment. Seize the joy of the moment.
I think the easiest thing is to do it together, because you're not simply looking after a family member or someone else. You're just living life the way life always has been. If you can get through it, and people would be very lucky if they had someone like Nettie that was going to have that problem. You know, she never complained once. She never, you know, said why me or anything else. We just laughed all the way through it. I think she wanted to die peacefully. She wanted to die with dignity, and she did that. She died here in this area where we're sitting now. She was in hospital bed, and I sat there, and there was another chair just around the corner there. I sat there with her and used to talk to her, and people came and visited, and then it was just something that she made it so easy in the sense of what was going to happen and how it was going to happen. I would say to her, thank you very much for being my partner. Thank you very much for teaching me.
Long nights